Why did what happened to Tom Bauer this week bother me so much? It was more than just online toxicity. It was a full scale smear campaign designed to discredit him and silence the truth. Instead of debating his research, Meghan's most devoted defenders mocked, gaslit, and attacked him personally. In this video, I want to talk about smear campaigns, tactics of invalidation, and how flying monkeys play a role. And at the end, I'll tell you a fictional story about Emily who experienced this in her own world. If this sounds interesting to you, get ready. This is going to be incredibly eye opening. But before we begin, here's the intro. Welcome to Revealing the Narc. Join me as I highlight narcissistic traits in celebrities and public figures. Everything here is in my opinion and not professional advice. If you enjoy the analysis, please like and subscribe. Before we continue, I'm going to put in the clip of Tom Bauer being harassed by the Sussex Squad.
You're at Invictus.
Why I'm here?
Yeah, why are you at Invictus? Sure, really? Yeah? That's why you came to see? Or is it because you know Harry and Meghan were going to be here today? Yeah. Yeah, we've read the things you've wrote about them, especially Meghan. We've seen your book, we've heard about your book. So it's very interesting that you're at Invictus because we know why you're here. So why don't you tell the truth about why you're here? You came all the way from the UK and the UK press to Invictus in Canada just because you want to see it? Nah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah. But yeah, we know.
Tom Bauer is a respected investigative journalist known for exposing powerful figures from politicians to royalty. He's thorough, methodical, and legally vetted. But when he released Revenge, a book that didn't fit the Sussex Squad's carefully curated narrative, they launched a full-scale smear campaign against him. Instead of addressing the facts, they did what all narcissistic enablers do. They mocked his appearance and age rather than engaging with his research. They called him biased, racist, and hateful, despite never actually reading the book. They attempted to discredit his entire career to make sure no one took his findings seriously. This was not a debate. It was a coordinated character assassination. And if you've ever been on the receiving end of a smear campaign, you know exactly how this feels. At first, I thought my frustration was just about the usual online toxicity. But the more I sat with it, the more I realized this wasn't just about Tom Bauer. This was about something much bigger. This is the same psychological warfare used in narcissistic families, toxic relationships, and controlling environments. The same pattern of invalidation used to silence people and erase the truth. If you've ever experienced being told you're too sensitive for speaking up, if you've ever had your real concerns dismissed as drama or negativity, if you've watched people mock instead of engage, then you've seen this playbook before. It's gaslighting on a mass scale. Let's break down how invalidation works step by step. Step 1, you express a real concern, fact, or emotion. Step 2, instead of addressing it, the other person mocks or dismisses you. Step 3, they shift the blame onto you. You're overreacting, they'll say. You're just bitter. Step 4, you start doubting yourself. You wonder, am I crazy? Am I the problem? This is exactly what the Sussex Squad did to Tom Bauer. Instead of proving him wrong with evidence, they attacked his character, making sure anyone who questioned Meghan's narrative was afraid to speak up. Does this sound familiar? It should. This is how Narcissistic A operates. So what does it mean to be invalidated? Being invalidated means having your thoughts, feelings, or experiences dismissed, ignored, minimized, or even mocked by others. Instead of receiving support, empathy, or understanding, you're made to feel like your emotions are wrong, exaggerated, or unimportant. An invalidating environment is one where this happens repeatedly, making you doubt your own perceptions and feelings. Over time, this can lead to chronic self-doubt where you ask yourself, am I overreacting? It can lead to emotional suppression when you say to yourself, it's not worth bringing up. It can lead to people pleasing or fawning to avoid conflict. And there can be anxiety and depression due to feeling unseen and unheard. Invalidation can happen anywhere in families, friendships, romantic relationships, and the workplace. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of what it's like to live in each of these invalidating environments. The first situation is going to be being invalidated as a child in a family. Growing up in an invalidating home teaches a child that their emotions are a problem rather than something to be acknowledged and understood. An example of this could be the sensitive child and the dismissive parent. The child, Mom, I really feel sad today. I don't know why. The parent, Oh, stop being dramatic. You have nothing to be sad about. The child learns that their sadness is wrong and that they shouldn't express emotions. Instead of learning how to process sadness, they internalize shame and may suppress emotions entirely. This can lead to people pleasing later in life as they believe expressing feelings pushes people away. Another example is the scapegoated child and the narcissistic parent. The child would say, Mom, it really hurt my feelings when you made fun of me in front of Aunt Lisa. Parent, Oh my God, you're so sensitive. You always play the victim. No one else would be upset about that. The child learns that even when they are genuinely hurt, their feelings are invalid. They may begin to gaslight themselves, thinking, maybe I really am too sensitive. As an adult, they may tolerate toxic behavior in relationships, assuming their pain is always their fault. A third example, the achiever and the emotionally absent parent. The child would say, I got a 95% on my test. The parent says, What happened to the other 5%? The child learns that love and validation are conditional, only given when they perform perfectly. They may become overachievers with intense self criticism, always chasing external approval because nothing feels good enough. They grow up with crippling self doubt, always feeling they're a disappointment. Children in invalidating homes grow up believing that their emotions are too much, that their experiences don't matter, and that they must suppress their feelings in order to be accepted. Let's shift gears and talk about what it's like to be invalidated in a romantic relationship. Invalidation in these situations can be subtle or extreme, but the result is always the same. You feel unseen, unheard, and like your emotions don't matter. The first example is the dismissive partner. You say to them, I feel like we haven't been spending as much time together and it's making me sad. They respond, why do you always make a big deal out of everything? I'm just busy. This can cause you to start questioning whether your needs are valid. You may stop voicing concerns altogether to avoid being told you're too needy. Over time, you feel lonely in the relationship, even when your partner is physically present. Another example is the gaslighting narcissist. You say to them, It really hurt when you lied to me about where you were last night. They respond, I never lied to you. You're imagining things. You're always looking for drama. This leads to you doubting your own memory and reality. You might say to yourself, maybe I really did misunderstand. You lose trust in your own instincts, which makes you easier to manipulate. You might over apologize for things you didn't even do just to keep the peace. Another example is the overreacting accusation. You say to the partner, I didn't like the way you spoke to me in front of our friends. It felt belittling. They respond, Oh my God, you're so sensitive. No one else thought it was a big deal. This leads you to start thinking your hurt feelings are an overreaction, even though they are completely justified. You stay in an unhealthy relationship constantly, minimizing your own pain. Your self-esteem erodes over time, making you feel like you're the problem. Romantic invalidation teaches you that your emotions are a burden. You should suppress your needs to avoid being called needy or dramatic, and you can't trust your instincts. The third scenario is going to be being invalidated in friendship. Friendships should be safe spaces, but when you're in an invalidating friendship, Your feelings may be treated as unimportant, annoying, or exaggerated. One example of this is the friend who minimizes everything. You say to them, I'm going through a really tough time right now. They respond, Oh, you think that's bad? You should hear what happened to me last week. This causes you to stop sharing because you know they'll make it about them. You feel emotionally drained instead of supported. You realize this friend doesn't care about your struggles, they only care about their own. The next example is a friend who gaslights you. You say to them, I feel like you've been avoiding me lately. Did I do something wrong? They respond, Wow, you're really overthinking. You always make things about you. This leads you to feel guilty for expressing your feelings. You start thinking you're too much and try to shrink yourself in friendships. Over time, you become afraid to speak up, even in healthy relationships. Invalidating friendships make you feel like a burden, like your emotions are inconvenient, and like your concerns are always overblown. The last situation I want to talk about is being invalidated at work. Invalidation at work can make you question your competence, intelligence, or worth. An example of this is the boss who undermines you. You say to them, I put together this report and I'd love to hear your feedback. The boss responds, I don't have time for this. Just do what you're told. Because of this, you stop asking questions, fearing you'll seem incompetent. You feel unappreciated, and this can lead to burnout. You hesitate to advocate for yourself, even in fair situations. Another example is the gaslighting manager. You say to them, You said we had until Friday to finish this. Now you're saying it's due today? The boss says, I never said that. You must have misunderstood. You doubt your own memory. You overcompensate by working harder, fearing you'll be blamed, and you feel trapped in a toxic work culture. Invalidation erodes self esteem over time, and recognizing these patterns can help you set healthy boundaries, stop gaslighting yourself, and surround yourself with people who respect your feelings. I'm curious to know if you've ever experienced this. If you feel comfortable sharing, please drop that in the comments. So now let's get into the Sussex Squad as flying monkeys and how they enable validation. I'm going to be going much deeper into flying monkeys and the Tom Bauer situation in an upcoming video, but I wanted to show you the connection. In Narcissistic A, flying monkeys are the people who do the narcissist's dirty work, attacking and silencing the people who expose the truth. The Sussex Squad acts like Meghan's flying monkeys. They smear journalists, commentators, and former staff who speak out. They rewrite history to make Meghan the perpetual victim. They dogpile anyone who questions the narrative, making them afraid to speak up. This is how narcissists and their enablers control the story, not by proving their side is right, but by intimidating everyone else into silence. Invalidation is a psychological weapon used to silence, dismiss, and discredit someone's reality so that their words lose credibility. In Tom Bauer's case, his research was ignored because it didn't fit the Meghan Markle narrative. Instead of refuting his claims with facts, the Sussex Squad attacked his character, mocking his age and calling him racist. They painted him as biased and irrelevant to make people doubt his credibility. This is exactly how narcissists invalidate their victims. Instead of engaging with the truth, they shift the focus onto discrediting the messenger so the message is ignored. Flying monkeys are the people who carry out the narcissist's dirty work, attacking, discrediting, and silencing critics so the narcissist doesn't have to. In Tom Bauer's case, the Sussex Squad acted as Meghan's flying monkeys by flooding social media with attacks on Bauer instead of discussing his book. They were involved in mocking, doxing, and threatening people who supported his findings. They labeled him a racist and a liar to ensure that no one took him seriously. And they gaslit the public by rewriting history and making it seem like Bauer was the problem and not Meghan. Instead of debating facts, they used social pressure, intimidation, and mob mentality to enforce their version of reality. This is exactly what narcissists do. They send their enablers to silence the truth and protect their image. So let's talk about the cycle and how flying monkeys fuel invalidation. Step 1, someone like Tom Bauer presents inconvenient truths. Step 2, The narcissist's flying monkeys immediately discredit and attack the person, ensuring that no one takes them seriously. Step 3. This invalidates the person's findings. People are too afraid to associate with them. Step 4. The truth gets buried and the narcissist's false narrative remains intact. This is not just about Meghan Markle. This is how all narcissists operate. They don't fight their own battles, they manipulate others to do it for them. If you've ever been in a toxic family, workplace, or relationship, you've probably seen this firsthand. A narcissistic boss gets employees to attack a whistleblower. A toxic parent turns siblings against the scapegoat. A manipulative ex spreads lies to mutual friends so no one believes the real story. The flying monkeys enforce the narcissist's control, and invalidation is their primary weapon. And I think this is why what happened to Tom Bauer impacted me so much. It's because it feels so familiar. This is a real world example of psychological manipulation many of us have lived through. So let's talk about how to recognize a smear campaign. If you've ever been a scapegoat in a toxic family or targeted by a manipulator, you've probably experienced a smear campaign. The goal of a smear campaign is to emotionally manipulate the audience into rejecting the truth. They create groupthink where people feel pressured to conform. They destroy the credibility of the person speaking out so no one listens. Smear campaigns thrive on fear and control. If they can make you doubt yourself or silence yourself, they win. So, how do you fight back? Number 1, recognize the tactics. Once you see the pattern, stop falling for it. Number 2, don't engage with bad faith actors. You can't reason with people committed to misunderstanding you. Step 3, stand firm in what you know is true. You don't need the world's permission to trust your own experience. At the end of the day, this isn't just about Tom Bauer. This is about all of us who have been invalidated, dismissed, or gaslit into questioning our reality. You don't need permission to believe your perspective. If something doesn't add up, trust your instincts. If you're being mocked for speaking up, you're probably onto something. If someone's first reaction is to attack you rather than address the facts, that's a huge red flag. So now I want to get into a story that puts all of this together. The story is titled The Forgotten Witness. Imagine a young girl, Emily, in a high school classroom debate. She's well prepared, confident, and ready to make her argument. She raises her hand and presents her case logically and thoughtfully, but as soon as she finishes, the class bully Tyler laughs loudly and says, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." The class giggles. The teacher doesn't step in. A few students murmur agreement, not because she's wrong, but because it's easier to side with the loudest voice. Someone behind her whispers, "Why does she even care so much?" Her argument wasn't refuted, it was dismissed, and somehow that hurts more than losing. For the first time, Emily wonders, did I overreact? Was my point even valid? At home, Emily brings this up to her mom. Emily says, "I just don't get it. I did my research, I was right, but no one cared." Emily's mom responds, "Oh, honey, you think way too much. Just let it go. People are being jerks. That's life." No acknowledgement, no validation, just dismissal. If she's upset, she's too sensitive. If she's right, she's too serious. If she speaks up, she's a problem. And just like that, the seed of self-doubt is planted. Years later, Emily works at a news outlet as a junior editor. She cares about facts and she works hard to ensure accuracy. One day, she flags a major inaccuracy in an article that could cause serious reputational damage to the company. She brings it up to her boss. Emily says, "Hey, I double-checked the numbers in this piece and they don't add up. If we publish, this is going to backfire." The boss, "Emily, relax. No one is going to dig that deep. It's fine." But Emily insists, "But it's not fine. If people do notice, it's going to be a scandal." The boss replies, "You're making a big deal out of nothing. Just do your job." So the article gets published, and guess what? The numbers are wrong. There's backlash. But instead of admitting their mistake, The company doubles down, gaslighting the public, just like Meghan's fans do with any criticism of her. Emily is stunned. Truth doesn't matter here. The loudest voice wins. Her coworkers say, "Well, the boss said it was fine. It's not our problem. You care way too much about this. No one even remembers what you said, Emily." It doesn't matter that she was right. It matters who controls the narrative. She watches the scandal destroy a journalist's career, but not the company's. Just like how Tom Bauer's credibility was attacked instead of anyone engaging with his research. And for the first time, Emily realizes something chilling. People don't care about the truth. They care about the version of reality that makes them feel comfortable. One day, Emily watches a viral clip of Tom Bauer being ridiculed by the Sussex Squad. The mocking, the complete lack of engagement with facts, the way they attack his appearance, his age, everything, except his actual work. And suddenly, something clicks. This isn't just about Tom Bauer. This is the world she grew up in. The bully in class who shut her down with insults instead of reason. The parents who told her to stop overthinking instead of listening. The boss who dismissed her concerns because it was inconvenient. It's all the same pattern. The loudest voices don't argue, they erase. And the worst part, they make the truth teller doubt themselves. That's why it bothers her so much, because she knows what it feels like to be shut down, mocked, and ignored simply for speaking the truth. But this time, Emily doesn't just sit with the feeling, she names it. She says, "I'm not upset because I care too much. I'm upset because I recognize this pattern and I know exactly how it works." Instead of backing down, she makes a choice. She will never let anyone make her feel crazy for seeing the truth again, because the truth doesn't need to be the loudest. It just needs people brave enough to keep speaking it. So I'm curious to know, have you ever experienced invalidation or a smear campaign? Drop your stories in the comments. I want to hear from you. If this was interesting to you, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll know every time I drop a new video. I want to tell you I appreciate you so much for watching and listening, and I will talk to you all soon. Goodbye, everyone.